Hello, everybody. This is the Historical Gamer once again. I am going to be playing some Flight Sim 2024. I was given a copy of this as a review copy. This isn't a review. This is just like me taking a look at it. We played a little bit of Flight Sim 2020 years ago, so I figured we'd jump in and take a look. Anyway, guys, we're going to jump in here. We're going to take a look at Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. I haven't played this a lot on the channel yet, or at all on the channel. I haven't played this a lot, period. I didn't have any performance issues when I was playing before the stream, before the recording. But this is my first time trying to record and stream simultaneously. It would not shock me if we drop some frames or have some issues. If we do, please feel free to leave your thoughts in the chat that is happening so that I'm aware of that. But let's go ahead and jump in here. We're playing on the high settings. I've got an i9 10900K, so it's a little bit of an older but pretty decent CPU, and then we're playing on a 3080 Ti for the graphics card. So again, a little bit dated, but you know, it gets the job done for me anyway. I don't play a ton of graphically intensive games, so we'll see how this plays. You can see here as you get in, you've got a number of activities that you can do. I believe career is like the big new thing for 2024, where you can like actually have like a job and do tasks and things like that. For the sake of today's video, we're just going to jump into a free flight. And, you know, I'm curious. I'm curious about Gettysburg. Let's go ahead and see what, you know, I'm trying to think like where would be a cool place to fly. And this, you know, one of the things I would say with this kind of game with like Microsoft Flight Sim is they tend to focus on key like landmarks that they can kind of, you know, have people be like, oh, it's really cool to fly around there. Now for me, those key landmarks might be different than the average person, because I'm a history nerd. I don't know Normandy well enough, Seatown, to know from the air what I'm looking at other than the coastline. So I figure, why don't we take a look at Gettysburg? You know, we can zoom in here. Obviously, we've got the satellite imagery. Why is this thing still dropped down? I don't want to... All right. So we can, like, zoom in here, and we can see Gettysburg, the town. Obviously, it's just satellite imagery here. I know that this is the square at the center of the town. This should be the Gettysburg Hotel right here in this area. There's a parking garage if you stay at the Gettysburg Hotel that's back here. And then this is sort of the circular, you know, center of the town, where if you march south, it's where you start getting into the battlefield area. So I'm assuming they don't do a great job with the monuments, but I don't know. This definitely looks like the National Cemetery here. You've got the rows of tombstones visible, at least from the air. And then I think we're going to play with present day just because it'll be more interesting without the foliage to see what the topography looks like, see how well it looks like the battlefield. I believe this is the Gettysburg Museum, the Battlefield Museum. I've not actually been to the Battlefield Museum. I've been to the battlefield a number of times. I have not. I've walked through the museum. I've walked into the gift shop. I've never done the diorama or anything like that. This should be Culps Hill over here. And I think there's like a tower here that you can climb up. I remember doing that. And this kind of looks like that path. It's much better without the foliage, frankly, if you're playing a flying game. I assume anyway, because I can see a lot more here. But I'm really curious because a game like Microsoft Flight Sim is so heavily dependent on using sort of generative assets. At least that's my understanding of how this works, right? So like if you have crafted assets, places like New York City, right? They probably have the Trade Center 1, as an actual building that was put into the game deliberately, right? But a lot of this other stuff is going to be a little bit generic, right? Like, I don't think this image here really looks, and I'm assuming in game it doesn't, like the actual historical Gettysburg Hotel, as well as a number of these buildings. Probably, I don't think they load street view level stuff in, so it's probably going to be somewhat randomized. But I am curious to see what the actual battlefield looks like. So we're going to fly a helicopter, because I think that'll be more easy to kind of scope out the lay of the land, and see what it looks like. And then we're just going to fly. Also, is there a pit mine in Gettysburg? I don't remember ever seeing that, but this looks like a freaking... This looks like a pit mine right here. Huh. I don't recall seeing that. Granted, it's south of the battlefield here. Big Round Top should be... Little Round Top, Big Round Top should be right about here. And then... I'm assuming this is Devil's Den in here. It looks like there's probably some rocks you can see, although the building's throwing me a little bit. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this is Little Round Top and this is Big Round Top based on the hills here. Also based on the fact that Haverfield Aviation's right here. I believe this is Big Round Top right over here because it's like directly west. I think they do helicopter tours and stuff. I suppose we could just take off from there. Use that as our point of reference. Let's do that. So let's just jump in here. We're going to fly a helicopter and see. What a dreary day, boys. Oh, shoot. I might need to restart. I might have loaded current time, which will be, if it's nighttime, yeah, there's not going to be... I'm not going to see anything at weather. Or I'm not going to see anything at night. Can we change it just from here? Yeah, I guess I've got to end the flight then. I've got to make it daytime because I'm not going to see anything at night. I can change it on that top bar? Oh, alright, well, my bad, I missed it. It was quick enough. Quick enough in and out. Okay. Very dreary winter day. So we've got our cockpit. Full bubble would probably be nicer from a visibility point. This chopper looks like it's got a little iPad down here, as well as some instruments. Alright, let's just take off and... Whoops. Whoa. Man, that thing really shot off the ground. I don't want to go too high. I mean, I don't want to land, but I don't want to go too high. Obviously, I got to clear the trees here. So it doesn't say it, but this is Big Round Top right over here, this big mass. So I don't want to go too high here. 1,000 feet's probably about as high as I want to go, but you can see here, got a nice little clearing in front, and then you've got Big Round Top. I'm going to be shit at managing altitude here. This big, tall hill in front of us. Little Round Top will be over here. I'm curious when, and I don't know what's changed with some of the construction that's been going on there. They've been trying to sort of renovate Little Round Top in the last few years. I think it reopens next year in the spring. So Big Round Top, we're passing over here on the right. Not really much to see there. There wasn't a lot of fighting done there. There are some monuments. You've got, it looks like Devil's Den right down here. It does, let's see if I can just drop and I'll probably crash, but I definitely see rocks at least. Yeah. So we've got some rocks. It doesn't, you know, again, a game like this, it's not, Gettysburg is definitely not crafted in this game, but at least the topography, you definitely tell. You've got sort of, I think this is where the peach orchard and the wheat field would be. The peach orchard's probably a little bit more off to the left here. The wheat field probably more just directly down below us. But you do have a lot of broken ground, which I'm assuming the satellite imagery from Gettysburg does that. And then you've just kind of got some open space here and this roadway which runs right into town. This is probably the wood where the New Jersey Brigade was stationed. I think it was the New Jersey Brigade, where Sickles would have originally posted most of his corps. And then we can go here. You can see this is the open field area-ish that would lead up to Cemetery Ridge. And pick his charge. Might be a little premature there, but it's kind of like right here, directly in front of us. I don't know what this building is. There's like a small maintenance building somewhere around here, but that doesn't seem right. This is definitely the Gettysburg Museum right here. And these parking lots definitely are there. But down here, that's where the Gettysburg Museum is. I don't see any monuments, yeah. I don't think the game would... Whoa. As I try and auto-rotate in. I don't see any indication of monuments. Now, I don't know that the game would know what that is. I think that'd be a fun little DLC that for someone to, you know, make, and maybe they could sell it. I know that, like, people make planes and sell those, but it'd be interesting if someone was like, hey, we're going to do all the Civil War battlefields and sell that as an add-on. I don't even really see the famous red barn or anything. Everything's kind of like gray or like greenish roofs, which doesn't seem right. But, you know, again, it's not a focal point of a game like this. Still, as a history person, it's fun to, you know, fly around, and it would be fun to see that kind of stuff. I do wonder if Normandy would have anything, but again, I don't know Normandy well enough from the air to know. You've got, this is definitely the National Cemetery, and I'll kind of pivot around here to take a closer look in a moment once I get over it. There's a football field there. I don't know if that's for the high school or the college, but you can see here is the, this is the, it's kind of a monument in the center of this, because I think that's where there's a really tall, and I don't know the name of all the monuments, but there's a really tall monument at the center of all the tombstones. But you can definitely see the cemetery there. Yeah, they use AI. I mean, they used the predecessor of AI before, I guess, to fill in areas that are not popular, which is probably, what, like 99.9% of the planet? Because you can fly anywhere. But, like, the vast majority of stuff is not handcrafted. So this is all presumably procedurally generated. It is interesting though, because Gettysburg is kind of like a real popular tourist destination, at least within the States, that you thought maybe they could have some level of crafting, but it's also one of those things where for a flight sim, if you're doing Gettysburg, what percentage of flight simmers are really interested in seeing Gettysburg? Also, anything except helicopters are probably going to be too high to really do anything with. Let's see if we can slow up here and lose a little bit of altitude. I'm going to crash. This is the Gettysburg Hotel, which is, I guess, maybe kind of sort of looks right. Not really, but it's brick. And then we just went over the Lincoln Diner, which you couldn't really see, and it wasn't there either. But going through the town now. And then I think this is the battlefield area north of the town, where you would have had the engagement with the 12th or 11th Corps on the first day, I think. Or maybe some of these are the cavalry fields too. I'm really not good at navigating in games like this, but...
814, please acknowledge.
Tower, shut up. But mostly just farm fields. One thing I will say, which is impressive with Gettysburg, is just how well preserved of a battlefield it really is. Like, even with the town having grown, like, it didn't grow that much, the town. You know... I think maybe this is South Mountain straight ahead here. It's a very imposing and, like, striking feature when you're on the ground. I don't know so much about when you're flying over at 1,200 feet, but... So we've circled back around. A little bit higher than I'd like. But you can still see kind of straight ahead here now, like right in front of my compass now. Big round top definitely stands out there. Kind of dwarfs everything else. And again, we're at 1,300 feet, so imagine the, you know, the way that looks to the folks on the ground. Culps Hill should be right around where my, you know, instruments are, like right here. If you look kind of down where that little windsock thing on my windscreen is pointing, like it should be like right around here. Oh, wait, no, that's the cemetery. Culps Hill should be over here. And I kind of see the clearing for the path that is on Culps Hill. So like if you're looking, there's a knoll here. So you've kind of got the fish hook from where the cemetery was over there, and it kind of bends around here to the Union left. And so this would be Culps Hill, this mound here. You can see kind of a road off to the left of the hill, which you can walk, which I did walk across last time I was there, just kind of walked all the way back. But this is the clearing where there's definitely not a house there as far as I remember, but there was some monument stuff. There's like a little walking thing you can like go up on a tower. But yeah, that's Big Round Top. Or sorry, that's Culps Hill, and then we've got Big Round Top straight ahead here. So that's my observation here in Microsoft Flight Sim. I don't know that there's much else to say about Gettysburg. You can see the Blue Ridge Mountains kind of in the distance straight ahead. And that's about it. We're going to fly over the museum here. Some open fields. I would love if someone did a DLC for like national parks / battlefield parks. National parks probably has a possibility, and maybe they already exist. Like there's probably a good attention to detail at like the Red Rocks or in like Yosemite. Yeah, I mean, so Pickett's Charge Field, we kind of flew over it. Like, this is sort of ish the ridge line here. We've got the museum here, which means that kind of beyond this road over here, these fields right here in this area, I think. Yeah, we're over Pickett's Charge Field right now. And I think if we just fly a little bit more ahead, we're going to be over Seminary Ridge. Like Seminary Ridge. It's hard to tell because it's not, without the monuments, like some of this is not very well. No, there's cemetery and there's seminary. Seminary Ridge was the Confederate position that they assaulted from. Cemetery Ridge was the ridge the Union were based on. So S for seminary, like a seminary for a church, and cemetery for, you know, like a cemetery. And lo and behold, there is a cemetery on top of that. And I could be wrong here, but I believe some of these fields over here are the first days fighting. Like McPherson's Ridge and McPherson's Farm would be over here. They pushed into the town, but I believe this looks roughly, you know, it'd be cool to see the actual Lutheran seminary, but I don't see it either. So, I guess the one thing that stands out, they've got the cemetery there. You can see that on top of Cemetery Hill. And then they've got, you know, Big Round Top is definitely visible. Even here, you can just see it. You can just see that hill stand out here. And then the rest of this all just kind of washes away, especially without the monuments. But this big open field area, this would be where Pickett's Charge, some of these fields anywhere, where it would have occurred across. And I think this roadway here that we're looking down on might actually be the Confederate position road. Because they've got like a road of monuments and stuff like that for the Confederates. It's either that one or it's this one. I think given the tree cover, it's the I think it's this one. Yeah, we flew over Little Round Top Monolith, or Devil's Den. You can kind of tell the ground is broken up. You know what you're looking at. You can kind of tell. Yeah, that's an actual road. So the one back there is, I believe, the Confederate position. And yeah, so there's Big Round Top. We got some of these roads around here are actually like the trails for tourists and stuff. And then down here would be like these rocks. This kind of general areas. I believe Devil's Den. But I think that does it for our tour here of Gettysburg. Well, if we want to go back and... Do we want to try and land anywhere? How many times have I been to Gettysburg, Sturb? I've been twice. I make it sound like I know it much better than I do, don't I? I went in 2016. My wife was at a work conference at the time. She was working for a medical association, and they had like a conference once a year where they would, fly everybody out, and then they'd have all their members who they were paying their dues or whatnot would come, and they'd have speakers and stuff like that. Anyway, my wife was working, and they did so she had to go out and work the conference, and that was out in Boston back in 2016. Was that when Red Dead Redemption came out? Because I vaguely remember when she was gone, I was like streaming the hell out of Red Dead Redemption 2. But then the day before the conference ended, I flew out and... Actually, the 2 days before the conference ended, I flew out to Gettysburg, flew out there one night, caught sunset on the angle on Cemetery Ridge, and then had one whole day at Gettysburg. And then the next day, did I get back on a plane in Baltimore and fly up to Boston? Yeah, I had to. I didn't do a long road trip. Flew from Baltimore up to Boston, met up with her, and we spent like a week up there. You know, we extended her work trip into a vacation, went out to Cape Cod and stuff like that. And then in 2019, I think it was, I went back in the summer of 2019, just by myself. My wife is not so into the history as much as me. She finds some of that stuff interesting, but the idea of walking around a field for 2 days, walking 30 miles around a field, then it was Red Dead Redemption was then for the second trip. It must have been. But in any event, then the second trip was 2018. But yeah. Anyway, so flying a helicopter is interesting. I could totally flip this thing over and die real fast. I'm trying to find an actual field. I'm guessing this is a little general aviation field up here, about two nautical miles up, that we'll just drop into and then end. I mean, we could just end mid-flight, but I think the funny thing is I think my kid might, she's only 3 right now, so she would not have the endurance to do what I was doing. So my first trip, by the way, I did it all on foot, and I nearly passed out from heat stroke my full day out there. Like, I'm not as fit as I was then, but I'm not fit in the sense that, like, at the time I was not exercising at all, so, like, definitely not fit. But not heavy set. You know, I was at a good weight at the time, but I was like walking around with a backpack, walked like 20 miles, having done no training to do that, up all, over rough terrain and all those things. And I remember getting like real dizzy, like almost passed out as I got to around Little Round Top, and ended up stopping at like there's like this little hole in the wall like restaurant, kind of like screened in porch type place, and I got a burger and got some food there like just short of Little Round Top. A drone would cover this much better. I mean, that's kind of what you get with the helicopter. I just am not a good enough pilot to keep it low enough. I'm not going to acknowledge. Shut up. I'm just going to drop it in this field. This is supposed to be a general aviation spot. Oh boy. I'm actually going to die is what I'm going to do. Ooh, that looked slicker than it probably was. I just like, whoa, 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 whoa. You're going down too fast. Let's adjust that. Well, I don't want to go back up. But that was a real slick, like, at least in my mind, it was a slick pivot. It wasn't really a burger stand. Like, I think it had been there forever. Like, it was kind of like not right in front of Little Round Top. You had to duck out maybe like a quarter mile toward the main street out that way. Yeah, Bond move. I'm on the ground. Go, go, go. All right. All right, so now what? I don't know Normandy well. Like, are there going to be any monuments in Normandy? Probably not. Where did we land anyway? Hey, right here. Right next to 3PN Carlindo. It's a 1,700-foot grass strip. You can see me right down there. Venice. Man, that seems like... I dropped a few frames at Gettysburg. If I go somewhere like that, I don't know what to expect. How's the Hagia Sophia look? The Falklands. I'm guessing. I mean, so this is an example like, oh, well, the Hagia Sophia. Obviously, it's in the game, so you definitely know that. I'm curious, actually. Let me go back to my hometown. Is there anything in here? What's this? This Navy Pier? Merrill Field? What? Meg's Field? No, what is this? It's just some kind of runway south side of Chicago? Navy Pier would be like, where is Navy Pier? Be up here? I'm surprised Navy Pier isn't a star objective. Or maybe that's just for airports, which are like detailed airports. But the Hagia Sophia had a star, and that was... I want to know if they have the art museum. Like, well done. Problem is I don't know where that is on the coastline. Relative to... I mean, sure, the Hagia Sophia is a wonder of the world. I guess I'm just assuming Navy Pier is pretty famous, too. Not like... I know it's nothing like the Hagia Sophia, but... It just would surprise me that they wouldn't have something like that in a big city like Chicago. But what do I know? I do know that last time I played this, 2020, they did have Miller Park. Obviously, they're going to have it because of satellite imagery, but well, here it is. Is the roof open? I'm guessing they don't fill it up with people and have the parking lot full on game days, but it would be cool if they did. Hey, where my dad died. Awkward. Yeah, let's fly on a Waukesha. Ready to fly. All right, we're at Waukesha's General Aviation Airport. It's a nice little airport. They have someone, at least growing up, there was a P-51 that was based out of here. Which I think the P-51 is in-game, by the way. I need to get my bearing. I'm too low. Capital. Whitefish Bay? You mean the town of Trader Council? Oh God.
882 Lima. Waukesha Tower November 89882 frequency change.
They what?
Milwaukee
Oh, I'm guessing they do not have a V1 in front of the courthouse in Indiana.
2,500 feet. Request flight following. November 89er88 to Milwaukee approach. Squawk 7462.
Is this a quarry? I know there's like a... There is a quarry out this way somewhere.
7462-882.
Oh, they have that V1 modeled in the game?
Waukesha 2,700 feet. Altimeter 29.92.
I think that's an old limestone quarry.
Roger, 882.
I want to go try and land in Miller Park. We'll see if my... Oh, you wonder if they do? No. I'm guessing they do not. Like, just because they have that there. There's a Cold War museum I've never been to in Waukesha. Waukesha actually used to be a Nike battery when they assembled like a series of batteries to protect Chicago. They had a Nike battery set up in Waukesha. The old tower for the radar for the installation was right next to a skate land growing up. I think this is Blue Mound. I think. It's hard to tell. I'm not very good at flying helicopters, I will say that. Because to me, it's like if I want to go faster, I just go on the power, but the cyclic doesn't exactly work that way. Looks like I've dropped some frames. Not a ton, but some. So if it's getting choppy, let me know. Oh, this is 94. This isn't Blue Mound. This is I-94. So Blue Mound would be over here on the left. I grew up in the Brookfield, Elm Grove area. There's kind of a main slow road and then a main interstate that cuts sort of parallel to each other. And like all this stuff is built up off the side. None of this looks right from a building point of view, but that's what you get with stuff like this. Procedurally generated. I think this is a... Is this the U.S. Cellular right here? This little outbuilding? There's an Einstein's Bagel down there. I know no one cares about this. Wait, was that a... Wait. They got Joanne Fabric, right? Alright. I saw the sign. I saw the sign. It opened up my eyes. I saw the sign. Alright. And I think this is Brookfield Square over here. There should be a golf course out this way too. Brookfield Blue Mountain Country Club or whatever. Or not Country Club. Brookfield. This is Brookfield Hills Golf Course. Okay. Yeah, so we're flying over... There's a country club actually right there. I caddied there. That's Westmore Country Club. I caddied there. Woot. As a kid. I'd be curious how accurate the hole layouts are. I mean, I guess that's from satellite imagery, so you'd think the actual holes would be... Like, I assume those would be somewhat accurate. But... And then, so there, Westmore is there, and then that's a country club, and then this is all Brookfield Square Mall-ish. Some hotels in this area, some office buildings. And then kind of over here, you've got like an executive golf course called Brookfield Hills. I assume that's what I'm looking at down here. It's a much smaller par 9 type place. Oh, no, that's here. So this would be Brookfield Hills. Pay me to do marketing for you guys. I'll go fly over your stuff and talk about you. Now this is much bigger, obviously. This is a full-blown country club, whereas the smaller course we were looking at is just like an executive course, which means no par 5s, mostly par 3s. But Moreland here, that's Moreland Road, and this is Westmore, which is, again, an actual country club. I am not Caddyshack incarnate. My experience caddying was mostly sitting in the caddy room, waiting for stuff to get called out. I probably caddied like 20 times over the span of like a summer. Most of my time was spent playing poker in the caddy waiting room with my friend who was like much more into caddying, but also much more into poker, which is like the main reason I did it was, hey, this would be fun to, to hang out. My childhood home is somewhere down here, but it's also like, it's all very tree covered, so it's not going to show up on a satellite imagery here. But we're flying over Elm Grove right now. There are some very large homes in Elm Grove. Office parks over here on the right. Yeah, I'd have to go lower, but I don't think you'd see anything. Let's go to Miller Park. Let's see if we can land inside the stadium. All right, we're going to cut over to... Oh, I played Little League at these baseball diamonds down here. And this is a Target now, I believe, right down here. There's a UPS distribution center around here. It's probably down here. You can kind of see the trucks in there. And then we're back to 94 over here. I don't know. I'm not quite sure what all this stuff is. Looks like there's construction going on. This should take us right into... County Stadium. I think that's Freighter Medical Center over there. I need more airspeed. This is taking too long. I think that's 894 heading south, or maybe it's 43. A little turned around. We're coming into the city. I always wonder how accurate stuff, and I mean, they do it, I'd say, for what I would expect for a random suburb of a mid-size Rust Belt city. They did okay. Is this the State Fair in Milwaukee Mile? It looks like it. And there's AmFam Field ahead of us. Yeah, this is the Milwaukee Mile. They used to have a regular, I think it was an IndyCar race there. Got moved. They did, I think they had an exhibition race here, but it's all in the State Fair grounds, so there's a lot of events and things that happen around there. Just following 94 into Milwaukee here. Airspeed is 74 miles an hour. Altitude 1,400. We're going to bank over a little bit. There is a veterans, the VA. Should be up on this hill. There's also a cemetery right around here. There's a national cemetery. You know what's interesting is at Gettysburg I saw it. Maybe it's because it's, I don't know if we picked a winter date. Everything still looks pretty green. Oh yeah, you can see the tombstones down there. All those little white lines. So that's a national cemetery. There's flying over the VA grounds. We did a reenactment there once. It's mostly like a living history reenactment. Not sure why it looks like there's tents. Apparently there's a bunch of people living in tents here. Okay. But this is American Family Field, the home of the Milwaukee Brewers. It still says Miller on the top. You can see what it should say American Family, but they switched it from Miller Park a few years ago. And I think we can land inside this thing. Oh my god, these seats! This is a horror show. Everything's vertical. Oh no. We're inside. I'm gonna drift into something. Ah! Wow. Oh, that was a little bit rough.
United 1836, descend and maintain 5,000 feet.
So this is what you get from vertical, from, look at this, the seats are literally vertical. Just straight up.
And maintain 5,000 feet. United 1836.
Just straight up to the ceiling. Everybody's sitting on a night like you're buckled into a rocket ship or something. I guess that's what happens when you know, when you get a, let's power up a bit. And, oh my god, it's even worse over this way. Look at that. Physics impossible. Someone grab a ladder. Okay. Yeah, so this is presumably just like straight, like, well, we know it's a stadium, but we're just using the satellite imagery. Looks like some post-apocalyptic, like, for a little bit the seats look like they're right, and then just straight up.
Milwaukee approach November 8, 9882 is type 3 miles east of 2 Whiskey India Tree, 800 feet. Request flight following.
All right, we're going to leave. There's Hellfair Field, the small Little League field.
Feet below your assigned altitude. Climb
Hey. Hey, tower, shut up.
November 8,
I do what I want.
Milwaukee approach. Squawk 6607.
All right, let's go see if the Milwaukee Art Museum is here.
SkyWest 5618, you are 12 miles east. Climb and maintain 2,900 feet.
Or is this just generic traffic chatter? Because we're not SkyWest.
Via Adele transition. Clear to Adele.
Squawk 6607882.
Do they have Dahmer's apartment location? Probably not.
18, you are 12 miles east of Milwaukee. Contact Milwaukee Tower on 124.575 when inbound on the approach.
Yeah, we're coming into
Contact 3 miles north.
downtown.
1,400 feet. Altimeter 29.92.
Climb and maintain 5,000 feet. United 1836.
Hey, there's Potawatomi Casino. My wife worked briefly in their marketing department.
SkyWest 5618.
It was not a pleasant experience for her. But Potawatomi Bingo and Casino used to mostly be bingo growing up, and now it's like they built this huge ass hotel. This piece here is just an add-on to all the other stuff that used to be down there. And then Marquette University is kind of over this way. Actually, I think this curved building up here is actually the I think, is it the law department or the law school? There's you can see the church over here. I think, again, it's hard to know. I don't have great sense here, but I believe this is, like, I don't know if it's law. It's some fancy new building that got paid for, I'm sure, by donors. And then you've got the church over here. But this is Marquette University, Jesuit. Catholic financial life, yes. They got the sides of buildings, right? Again, I'm sure that's just scraped from satellite imagery. And then this would be the Marquette interchange. The frickin' hellscape. For some reason, the game is not smart enough to know that this is not a solid wall of concrete. They did not build the wall that you can just, you can't fly under these bridges. But these are all on pylons. These are way up. I always used to be super scared growing up that I'd like fly off the edge. And then I don't know what this thing is, but it's got gigantic chimneys like 150 feet plus up. That was always very scary, again, because this highway here always felt like you could just fall off of riding in it. We're in Milwaukee, TC, aren't we? We just landed at Miller Park and saw a horror show and hellscape of vertical seating in that Major League Stadium. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's not put it down in the river now, should we?
Roger, generic 271.
That bridge looks like it's underwater. That river looks like it passes right through the bridge somehow. Physics be damned. This might be Rockwell Automation's campus down here. I'm not sure about that, though. I think I saw the Coast Guard. The Port of Milwaukee, I think, is right over here.
Generic 271, have the traffic.
So yeah, this is obviously not a city that is recreated in high definition or whatever. You can see this really pixelated building. This used to be the bank. I think it's a U.S. Bank building now, but it used to be Bank One growing up. For a time, my dad had an office in this building. This is the tallest building in the city of Milwaukee right here. This one right here. Right in front of the Columbus St. Mary's helipad. And then, I don't know what building this is, but this is all sort of, we're looking straight into downtown. I'm sure it improves at a place like New York. 100% sure, but I don't know New York well enough to fly around it. And then this is the Hone Bridge over here, which I believe it's like kind of an iconic Milwaukee bridge, but I believe it's going to get taken down in the next few years. I'm assuming this is the Port of Milwaukee in here. Could be fun to fly up to, like, Manitowoc. I'm guessing you're not going to see any ships being made, but Finnica, however you pronounce it, builds is going to build the Constellation class up there. They built some LCSs yet there. But yeah, this is the Hone Bridge. It's an old sort of yellowish arched bridge. Summerfest grounds where they have the largest music festival in the world right down here. Or at least in the U.S. Largest, I think, in terms of the number of art acts. Not, I'm pretty sure Lollapalooza gets more. More stuff in Chicago, but... And then I believe this is Discovery World, this little outcropping here. Those boats are underwater! And then here's the Calatrava, just beyond this. So this little domed area, I think this is like Discover World. Which is kind of like a little bit of kid stuff, but like also very much like science and whatever inspired stuff. And then here is the Calatrava, which would be cool if it was in higher resolution, but this is basically, I forget who, it's made by some famous European architect. Those spires open and close. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm getting those spires here open and close, so it kind of flaps like a bird. It's the art museum for the city of Milwaukee. As we just creep over the top. And then there's the U.S. Bank building up here. U.S. Bank! I was going to fly in Istanbul. We could check out the Hagia Sophia, but that's the only thing I know there. So yeah. There you go, guys. The city I grew up in the suburbs of. This is a newish building right here. I think this might be Northwestern Mutual's new building. This taller one right there. Let's go see if we can land on this helipad. Or if we crash. This is, I believe down here is Veterans Park. Right down here. Along the lakefront. I saw the Foo Fighters perform there for some Harley anniversary. I might be mixing some of these locations up. I know for a fact the Calatrava, Discovery World, I think it is. I think that's Veterans Park. How far of a heli ride am I from Green Bay? Well, it's 61 miles an hour. That would be about a 3-hour flight. I doubt I even have fuel for that. We've only got 49% fuel. We could check out Lambeau. I'm gonna crash. There's no way I land on such a narrow strip. Does it say this was a children's hospital? Protect the children! It just says Columbus St. Mary's. Alright. Oh, dropping. Need more power. Power! Oh, tricky little buggers. That's just on the other side. We're not over the pad yet. Don't put down. I know why they don't do it, because they don't want people like crashing into places and just like dicking around with it. But it would be cool if there was a little bit more accurate like damage modeling in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Rather than just like, game over, you crashed. I think there's mods that do a little bit better, but... I'd say that's a pretty successful landing. Oh, yeah, for sure. We'll end that flight. Okay. What's this? What's EFB mean? Is that like... Okay. I don't... Oh, if you're doing like a flight plan, it's like your little knee pad thing. All right. I guess let's... Oh, God. Let's do another free flight. Where should we go that is more internationally recognized? Green Bay would be nice to see Lambeau, but that's not... I don't think I can... It's not justification enough. That's weird. These stars have to just be for, like, famous, not even locations, like airfields. Because these are not... Yeah, these are obviously all airports, not international locations. But I don't know, what would be a good famous place? I'm not going to fly Antarctica. There's nothing to see. What do we think would be... I'm guessing they got the pyramids of Giza, right? Granted, I'm going to be terrible at navigating. Chernobyl. I wouldn't know... Like, I'm looking for a place where we can test out how high resolution it looks. Let's do Istanbul. Let's check out the Hagia Sophia. Okay, so these little things, these are the little blue pinpricks are the famous landmarks. The stars are, I don't know, something else. Maybe there's like a helipad there. Okay, so if we go to Rome, we gotta have something here, right? Oh yeah, Rome. Rome would be a good one. Look at all these different famous landmarks. Granted, I don't know what they look like because I've never been there. Not really a big Rome guy, but... So as we saw, Milwaukee had none of those little blue markers. I'm kind of surprised Chicago didn't have any. You'd think they would have. Maybe they did. There's O'Hare. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for this first look at Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. My first look, anyway. As a reminder, I did get this game for free, and thanks to the folks at Microsoft and Xbox for that. But that's going to do it for today's video. There are higher resolution stuff. All the things we looked at today were basically, hey, if you look at a city where there isn't those, iconic landmarks that are extra, extra positive things to look at. Like if you look at New York here, all those little blue pinpricks are buildings that are modeled in higher resolution. So you're not dealing with sort of the same amount of either just satellite or sort of AI filling things in. But, even for Milwaukee, the satellite imagery was enough to show you things like Miller Park at a level that, if you're not trying to land inside the stadium, probably is good enough. But yeah, I really love the idea of doing like a national park pack, like if someone would do like a battlefield pack. I don't know that it would be worth it, but it's a cool idea. But that's going to do it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts below. And until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.